Hey guys, what's up? It is Skullflag44 here, back with some more Ultimate Frisbee UFC talk action sort of thing. So we just played our final games of the season yesterday, and I'm pretty sore from them. For some reason, my triceps on both arms are sore. I don't know. I guess the Frisbee motion sort of. I don't know. We played two games, so it's I'm more sore than usual. After the games, we were also practicing left-handed stuff and messing around. So maybe that's why I'm not really completely sure. But yeah, so I'm just gonna kind of walk you through yesterday. So we were playing either the 2 seed or the 7 seed, depending on who won. So we played our game last week, and we were the 6 seed that beat the 3 seed, and we beat them, as I said in my last video, 14-7. We did a great job. We wrecked them. Rotations were working really well. We had two great core groups that we figured out that we could really move it, and we did well. And we are like, all right, we belong here now. We can actually do something. We can compete with any of the teams. I wasn't concerned that we couldn't hold our own anymore, like I really was in our first game. And so we kind of looked at the schedule. Okay, we saw we're gonna be playing at 10:30 in a place in Seattle. And so we're like, all right, that's not a bad time, not too difficult. Takes about a half hour to get there. All right, we're in pretty good shape. So we left around 8:45. We wanted to get there pretty early, or we met up at 8:45 and left around 9ish or 8:55. We got there around 9:30. We found the spot, found a place to park and everything. And the teams that were playing to play us, were playing kind of like the first game of their bracket that they should have played last week, but there wasn't enough field space. So they played it this week or whatever. They were playing, so I started watching them. People were kind of warming up. Started watching, them trying to figure out, all right, okay, is this team good? Are they really good? Are we going to be able to compete with them? How is it going to go? And they were playing a team that we played before that we had beaten, but it was a pretty close game, and at that point, it was our toughest game. And it pretty much has gone from the playoffs have started. It's been all right. Now it's tougher. Hardest team we play, and that's kind of how you'd expect it to go. But it's been interesting because we don't really have a frame of reference of how good these teams are, and it's tough to judge by scores and stuff because some weeks you have all your players, some weeks you don't. So we were watching that. We're like, all right, they have a pretty deep squad. They've got a lot of players over there. They've got a lot of girls. We only had two girls at that point, and they had to play both games the whole time. We had other girls on our team, but they couldn't make it or doing other stuff or didn't want to play or whatever. So that's definitely a problem we need to fix for next season because we need to get more girls. But they did great. They were fantastic. Huge players, huge parts. I think the girls that we played, I don't know if I think I might have caught the Frisbee 3 times maybe overall in both games, and so we played 5 guys, 2 girls or whatever, and the girls that we had on our team were catching goals, scoring, making great passes, doing it all, and so that's a big reason why we were able to compete with these teams and all that. So I started scouting them, kind of started looking over, trying to pick up some big things, and the big thing I noticed was that their girls were actually doing really well, and that they were the team that were playing them, the favored team, was using their girls a lot better than the underdog team that we'd played before. And so I was like, okay, we got to get on that. This is gonna be tough. We kind of, it's usually you play 4 guys, 3 girls, but a lot of teams don't have enough girls, so it's a lot. Sometimes it's 5 guys, 2 girls, and so my dad, who's the coach, was able to get the other team to play with 5 guys, 2 girls, which was really nice, and a big score for us because we would have had to play down or do something or play someone that had never played before or had barely played or something like that. I don't know what we would have done. And so we kind of get out there. People are warming up. I'm watching them. I felt like I could have got more out of watching them and picking stuff up than actually just throwing the disc around. And we were kind of judging the wind. Every time we think, all right, the wind shouldn't be too big a factor, but it always is. This time it was more of a crosswind, not in one direction necessarily. Like a little tougher in one direction, but not remarkably tougher. It was just kind of tough on both ways, and it was kind of going to the point, making the Frisbee fly to 2 corners or a side of the field. And so we get out there. They had finished their game. We knew one of our advantages was they were going to be fairly tired after their first game and kind of a little worn out. So we wanted to take advantage of it right away and do our quick score like we did last time. And that's what we did, if I remember right. I'm pretty sure we just went right at them and scored right away. And that was nice because that gave us kind of the momentum boost, Quick punch in the face is always good. But the one thing, it didn't, necessarily go to advantage completely because they did have a lot of depth and we're playing a lot of players that they weren't as tired as they could have been. And that team, they actually had to play 3 games that day overall, which is pretty brutal. But I'm sure they enjoyed it and had a good time. And so we got up, I think 2-0 or 2-1 or something like that. And then we played through our regular rotations where we were playing everyone, make sure everyone got some good playing time. And then so I think it was pretty much tied up. And then we switched to our core rotations, which is like our top rotations. We got some movement, got ahead. There's this one guy. Oh, right when we started, this one guy who on the other team looked like he was stoned, looked like he was just a little out of it, just was kind of like just kind of crazy, like a little wild. I wasn't quite sure what was going on because he seemed all right, and then he would just kind of go crazy, and that was kind of a common theme of that day. But so right as we were playing, he was like, oh, he's like, I had UFC on my shirt. That's Ultimate Frisbee Club, and he was like, oh, UFC, that's like dubstep, right? You know that's dubstep, right? I'm like, yeah, and it's also Fighting Club. And he goes like, oh yeah, and I'm like, all right, here we go, let's play. It was just kind of awkward and a little weird, but yeah, he was an interesting guy. There were some other events down the road. At one point I was guarding really tight to him because that's one of our main points. We wanted to make sure we were really tight defense, making it really difficult for them to pass. And he was getting frustrated because my defense would just keep blocking his passes or whatever. He would try to throw it, and I would just move my hands down there. He'd kind of throw it in my hand. I'm like, all right, you're just wasting your time. And then he called this space, which is where I was too close to him, which, okay, that's fine. I probably was. And so I backed off, but then the rule is you can't, it's like a disc diameter, which is like 10 inches or whatever. I don't know. I'm not quite sure the official diameter, but so you can't be that close to a person. So I backed off, but he thought it was a whole arm length and a disc. And I was like, whoa. And so, and I think I was actually more just wrapping around him. And I was probably, you can't like create a line between 2 points of your body that crosses the player you're defending. And that was probably more of my issue, but he was kind of, didn't really know what was going on. And so I backed out, and then they scored or whatever. They were able to find someone. So that guy was kind of crazy. And then there's another instant where I had to do a lot of defending the D passes where it was thrown up. I was trying to track it down. The wind was kind of popping it. I had the guy that was trying to catch it was behind me, and I kind of was like putting my arm out there to kind of like feel him, kind of like fend me off, but it looked like a push or whatever. And so I go up and I hit it down, but then I kind of like run over him as I'm going backwards. And so their team is like, oh, foul, but he has to be the one to call it. And he was like, I guess it's foul. And I'm like, yeah, dude, that's, fine. I kind of ran you over. That's okay. And, it was a lot of, I was kind of talking to him afterward, and he was like, yeah, I'm not really quite sure what the rule on that. And I'm like, yeah, dude, it's totally cool. Pretty laid back. People can get pretty intense, in the game, and there's they kind of I don't know, it's just kind of interesting to watch, but a lot of guys are pretty cool. And so I was doing that, so we were able to get up. I was kind of looking at my watch. We put our starting players back in at 15 minutes till the hard cap, where if the hard cap is the next point, the game's over. So if we were up at 2 by the hard cap, we know we had won. And so that's when it got super intense, because I think we were up like 3, they got 1, and then we were kind of like trying to waste the clock, kind of move it up, and we had timeouts. And so we were trying to call a timeout or whatever, and they were like, oh, no, you don't have any timeouts. And we were like, yeah, we do. We had, we took 2 in the first half. We had 1 in this half, and we're taking another one. But then it was like really close to the like end of the hard cap, and so they made up a rule that within 2 minutes of the hard cap you can't call timeouts. And we're like, oh, okay. And then we didn't call timeout, we just played on. Then we forced it down there. We're looking at my watch, it should have been the hard cap, and apparently it was, but we didn't hear it because the field monitor person should have had like a whistle or something like that, but she we're just kind of yelling it, and no one knew because everyone's focused on the game. And so we're, going down there. I throw it in there, but it gets contested, gets knocked down. They move it up, they throw it down, and then I think we block it again, but we pick it up because at that point they really want us to go faster. We're just taking our time. We don't need to move very fast because we, are trying to waste as much clock as possible, pretty much to run out the game. It was kind of interesting because it was kind of like cheesy, because it's almost like fouling in basketball sort of thing, where it's like when you think about it, it shouldn't be very accepted because it's kind of cheap, but it's like that's kind of a strategy of the game. Or running out the clock in football, where you're running the ball, but it's different in Frisbee because the clock doesn't necessarily stop for what you play when you call timeouts and stuff. And so, when they were trying a lot of long passes to try to score quickly, and when that would not work, they would count down to like 10, 9, and give us 10 seconds to, pick up the disc, which is fine. They can do that. And so one person like picked it up who, was not supposed to pick it up or whatever, was supposed to like go long, and then got like confused, and they had us kind of pinned in the corner, and we couldn't provide a good option. So then it's thrown, it gets knocked down, and then they're able to score because they were so close to the end zone. So and now it's like 13-12, and we're like, oh gosh, now it's a hard, like I'm looking at watching, it's like it should have been the hard cap already. So we talk, and apparently the hard cap was already called, and so then we're able to get the game is over at that point, and we won 13-12, and so they're kind of frustrated. We're kind of like, we're happy because we're moving on to the championship now, but we're like, oh gosh, that's a really tough way to end. They still got to play a consolation game, but to end your run off of a tough tough thing like that, where they thought they still had a chance, but it wasn't the right call, and they should have been aware of it. And it wasn't like it was like a couple seconds past. It was like a good 2 minutes past it. It wasn't like clock discrepancy or anything like that. So we're able to get that first win. We're excited. We're checking in on the other game who we're playing, and there's the 1 seed versus the 5 seed, and the 5 seed is one of the team that beat us at the very beginning of the season. So we're like, oh man, we wanted to play them either in the consolation game or in the championship, and so we're like, but it's not likely that they'll beat the 1 seed or whatever. We're looking at the 1 seed, and they have a lot of players, but they don't have anyone big, so that's like a big factor, because off of pure intimidation, if you have like a big guy, it's like, whoa, backup can't really defend that very well. But they just had a lot of average size players. I don't really know how. I'm sure they were really solid, moving the disc because they were the 1 seed, played 6-2 in the B division. But so we checked in on that game, and they actually lost to the team that beat us 14-7. So we're like, oh gosh. So we're getting some food in between games, eating some, I had a protein bar, had some orange slices, watermelon, drinking Gatorade, trying to keep the cramps at bay. Because that's been a problem for me. But it hasn't been necessarily a problem during the game, but just after the game, I knew if this was going to be a doubleheader, so I had to really work on trying to let the cramps not stop me or not get to me, because once you have it first happen, it's tough to hold it off. So we're kind of getting ready. I'm eating, and then I kind of like ate a lot, so I had to kind of like digest it, because I was like, the game was going to start at 12:30, but we could have started earlier, and so I was kind of just taking my time. I was like, okay, I got to make sure I'm ready out there, because I'm starting and everything. And so we go out there, we get the disc flipped. It's Connor and I are captains, end the season, founders of the club, let's go. Got our disc out there, flip the disc. Connor calls it even. So it was, the disc, the way you do it, you have 2 discs, one person flips one, or one side flips one, the other side flips another. If it's like if one lands up and the other lands down, that's odd. And if they both land up or down, it's even. So you call it, and that's how it usually works to, decide who's, pulling or which side to play on or who's receiving or whatever. And we always like to pull first because we have got good players out there. We figure we can kind of test the team, get a defensive stop, and then we'll get the Frisbee back at halftime, which is a big deal for our, get pretty much an extra point out there because we usually have good players and a big boost, we kind of have the team figured out. And so we're joking around, this team was definitely the most vulgar team we played in the first game. There wasn't like too bad or anything, but there was a lot of controversy, especially over the other coach who called the timeout, kind of was stepping onto the field calling timeout, and then their team didn't hear him. I think I mentioned this before, but I'll just kind of recap it. Their team didn't hear him, and so then they threw it to the end zone and they scored, but our team did, and they kind of stopped because we didn't know the rules or whatever. And then he was like, well, I can't actually call timeouts, the players have to do that. And so they counted the point. We were kind of like, well, that's super cheap. He's acting like he's teaching us the rules and everything, and then he just totally manipulates. And so everyone's, and we lost by one, so it was like, okay, that was kind of like one of the reasons we lost, even though we probably would have lost anyway. But a lot of controversy. We didn't have a rotation figured out. We didn't have two out of our top five players at that point. And let's see, like two out of our top five and four out of our top 10 ish players. So we have definitely improved. Everyone's got a lot more throws down. We're just a lot better as a team. We've got rotations, and then especially with our core rotations we figured out, we're just a lot better than we were before. But we know they've also improved too, because they were pretty solid before, but they are also pretty new to Frisbee. So we knew they were going to be good, and they were athletic. And we had one guy who would just be able to bring everything down. We just throw it up to him. He just better athletically, physically than the other player. But we knew these guys, they were stronger athletically than a lot of us. So we would have to beat them with our tactics and movement, and I don't know. But they also had like set. They were also running drills. We've never run any drills, or we even had never had any sort of set play. And so so we were like, okay, we're the B division playoffs. Our mentality, or at least my mentality, was, all right, we already got second place. This is pretty good. Let's just see what happens. Let's see what we can do. We knew it was going to be a really tight game because this team had beat us before. There's a lot of history. We didn't really know what to. We kind of knew what to expect, but we were like, all right, let's see what has changed from now. So we were able to get up, go out there. Oh, at first when we're tossing the discs or whatever, we're kind of joking around with this guy. This team had been vulgar before, swearing a lot, not necessarily at us or anything, but just kind of frustrated stuff. And so, that was kind of something we were aware of. And we go to flip the disc. They have four captains and all nice people, or all seemingly nice people or whatever. The one big guy on their team who was like their best player, I would say, he, it's just, we were kind of joking around with him. We were like, oh, good luck. He's like, good luck. Joking around, trying to test the wind or whatever. We're helping him out with that. Everyone's having a good time. We're excited to play. No, nothing crazy out there. Everyone's kind of just ready to go. Hopefully it'll be a fun game. So we get out there. We're, kind of matching up. We're able to get up 4-1. We're able to get some scores. And at this point, they're getting pretty frustrated because we're, they're leaving people unopened. We're just hitting them, and we're doing well. And then they were able to come back, I think, 5-4. I think we had 4 straight. We got super close a couple times, but this is our regular rotations in there, so we were expecting to not do as well as their starters or core rotations. And so then we were able to. I think we were able to keep it close though. We weren't just getting destroyed. We were getting really close on these plays, and so then we put in our core rotations, and I think it was then that it kind of started getting chippy, or maybe a little before. There was one play where the guy we were meeting before, who seemed nice, tossing the disc, or flipping the disc with him, testing the wind, wishing him good luck and everything. We had one guy on our team who is not going to back down for anything. He's going to stand up there and he'll compete against you. He's a football guy. He'll go hard, and he's a great player, super fast and everything. He goes up there. He's tight on defense, and the one guy he's guarding catches it, and then he throws an arm at him, and we're all like, whoa, 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 whoa. We're making our bench is like, hey, you can't do that. And so then it's starting to get chippy at that point, because everyone's like, oh, okay, here we go. Then one of the dads on our team starts, yelling at you need to calm down or something like that. And he's this, super funny guy, super, it's just hilarious. One of our best supporters for sure. You need to calm down. And then the other coach looks over and gives him a stare down. And then he says, is that your parent or whatever? Acting like he was the total victim and everything. And I'm like, oh my God, this guy's get out of here. This other coach is just so annoying, because it's ridiculous. Before he was talking to us, before our games, when we were just kind of warming up, and before we had played our very first game against to try to get to the championship, he was saying oh, it's great seeing 2 C division teams, being all nice. But then and so then my dad's coach is like, yeah, we'll handle whatever. And he tells the dad to quiet it down. But no one's actually mad at him. Everyone's happy he stood up. It just quiet down a bit. Let's not get them super angry or anything. And so And then, so then, the guy that was guarding comes off the field, and we're like, what was that about? And he was like, yeah, he just totally throws an arm at me. And then he lists off all these swear words that he's telling us, that he's saying to him. And these are bad words. I mean, these are like, next level, not just dropping a couple swear words here and there, but these are chains of swear words at him. And we're like, oh gosh, now let's go. So I'm telling my dad, like, Dad, they're dropping these like swear words. You can't be doing that, here. And so the youth director's right there. And so we're kind of like, I'm like, go talk to her, but it can't happen. So he's talking to the coach, their coach, and he's like, oh yeah, I'll get it handled. But then it keeps happening. They keep doing it. And it's just like when they get frustrated. There was a couple times where out there they caught it. I would say, dude, nice catch, give them a high five and everything. They're like, thanks, man, or whatever, and totally cool. But then they would just go off, and they would just be, blah blah blah. There was one play where the one of the guys on our team was like super nice, super great. Went to his house afterward for a little get together, post game party or whatever, end of season party. Super great. He's the lone junior on our team. Great player, a taller guy that's able to go up and get it. Plays good defense and everything. Smart guy, super smart. He like it would like the other team caught it, but it looked like it was out of bounds, and so apparently the guy on our team called him out of bounds, but then they just wouldn't listen to him and started cursing him out, and he's like, whoa guys, like he was like, but you were out of bounds. They were just like, curse him out and would not listen to him. And unfortunately, I never got to hear all this stuff. I heard one of the guys I was guarding was kind of swearing, but he's more swearing at himself, not at me. Just like, oh, that was a bad pass, expletive or whatever. But I never actually got to hear swearing at people, and I was kind of disappointed because I would have enjoyed, kind of saying, talking to him like, hey man, you got to settle that down or whatever. And I'm not one to necessarily, bring up the confrontation, but I, wasn't gonna, I was gonna, solve the problem, that's for sure. But I don't know, but maybe it was because I was, I wasn't the issue. I don't know what they were angry at. I think part of I reflecting on it now, I think it was that they're just kind of culture. They were from, kind of they were from the city more. We were from a wealthier part of the area, smarter, not I don't know, maybe, I mean, we're, more academic based, and they were a lot, were whiter, necessarily, and they're more black, putting in terms, but they were, also had like, I'm not really sure what the race was like, Pacific Islander, and stuff, but they were more ghetto kids, and we were more, just white kids, although we do have a ton of Asians and, stuff like that on our team. Not that matters. It does not matter to me. And I think everyone's great. I love everyone on our team. And they were, it was just kind of, it was more, not as much as races, but just different cultures, I think. And they were like, there was one time where this kid, was just talking like ghetto talk, and I was like, whoa, that's real. That's a real thing. Like we're half hour away from each other, but we're just from, just have totally different cultures. But it was just kind of something crazy to reflect on. I think that was just kind of their natural response. That's just kind of how they dealt with stuff, where they were just kind of, curse people out, but they didn't actually mean it, sort of thing, because, it didn't seem like they actually had any bad blood with us. But from, where we're from, if you're doing that sort of thing, you actually have some real bad blood, and we're gonna attack you. And then they started, telling our girls, calling them bad words too. And at that point, this is halftime when it's like 8-7. We're saying like, all right, if you're cursing our girls out, that's, that's not happening. We're escalating this to the next level, and we were ready to take them on, like as in a full fight. I'm sure it wouldn't get to that far, but maybe just some pushes, telling people to back off and stuff. And we also had some bigger guys that came there to cheer us on, who who are also, as backup guys who you not want to, necessarily mess with. And we had a bigger team. We could have taken them easily, to be honest. And I would have enjoyed if it got to that level, but unfortunately it didn't. Because I've never been in a real fight, and it's unfortunate. One day, I don't know. I can't really root for a situation like that to happen because it's never a good situation. But I'd like to see what would happen out there. And so we're ready for that. They're saying all these sort of bad words, angry at us, and so we're like, all right, let's go, let's do this. And so 8-7 at halftime. We're out there. We get up. I think it's like 12-8. So we're like, all right, let's go. We're doing well. There was a couple nice passes to the end zone, nice catches. It was we were rolling. There's one where I threw it to one of the girls on our team, and or there was one where I threw it to one guy, but I knew it was gonna be tough. I knew we'd have to like stretch far, and it tipped off his hand. Then she caught it, and then tossed it for a goal. And then there's another one where it just floated right in, even though I knew it. And one of the guys on our team was like, "Oh, as I'm throwing it, like, no, just pass it here. Don't try that pass because it was a tough one." And I knew it too. I was like, I know this is going to be a difficult pass, and we might not be able to get it, but it's a good enough chance, and it worked out like perfectly. Somehow I was able to get it because I knew she had good hands to catch it or whatever. And so that worked out. And so we're up like 12-8. We're like, all right, let's go. Let's end this. So at this point, it's like the 15 minutes to go. We have our starters in. We're trying to, we're pretty tired because all of our starters have been playing, the most amount of time. First game and this game, and we're trying to pull this thing out. And so, but everyone on the starters is obviously a top level player, and so we're out there trying to take up our time, work the clock. We had timeouts to use, but we weren't gonna necessarily call timeouts to run the clock out because we knew that would even take it to they would not be happy whatsoever. And it's never, if you can win completely fairly, then it's better than winning in a more cheesier way. But winning is better than, because none of it was cheating or anything. It was all pure. Level. This game was going to be kind of tainted no matter what because of all the stuff we were using. We were kind of hoping one of the guys would get ejected or something like that because he was ridiculous. And one guy, one of the guys on our team was like one of our best defenders. He actually made a guy quit Frisbee for life. Apparently, he just stormed off the field and left the team in the middle of the game because he was frustrated at his team and the defense and what we were doing. A lot of smack talking between teams, and so that was kind of interesting. So we're up 12-8. We're able to get it. We're up 12-10 because we were pushing it, but then once you kind of get in just a prevent, defense, like no matter what, even if you try not to, just kind of natural once you start looking at the clock and stuff like that. And so we're up 12-10. Hard cap hits. I see the youth director yell at, and so that's when I know we just won a championship here. I was, it was excited, but it hadn't necessarily hit yet. We were kind of, slapping hands out there, happy, but we're gonna do the full celebration. Matt comes out here. Okay, let's try to hit one of the girls in the end zone. So we get that. We get connection. One of the girls, goal, game over. 13-10. Storm like our sideline runs on the field. We just won the championship. So that's what this picture is right here. I blurred it out because I don't know who wants their picture up there or anything like that. But you can kind of just see, the amount of people we had, all the players. A couple people in the back didn't play. They just kind of joined the picture. They're all part of UFC sort of stuff though, or most of them. A couple of them are in the back there. But doesn't matter. So we're all holding up our number one signs. We're happy. We just won the B division playoffs and we're ready to go. And so it's an awesome time, awesome season. We went on a run of 10 straight wins. And it was a great time without any set plays, without any really set strategy. We were just kind of going out there figuring it out. I think we had like 4 people that actually played Frisbee before, like with us during the summer. And so that was remarkable. People were able to pick it up. And next year we're going to be so much better if people keep working on their throws and everything and get bigger because everyone on this team can return. We're all sophomores and one junior, and next year we're going to be even better. Might go into the A division, compete with the top level guys, and hopefully by senior year we can take the A division. The initial plan was, all right, let's try to win C division this year, B division next year, A division senior year. We won the B division this year, so we're already ahead of schedule. So it's pretty awesome, pretty excited. Great time, super pumped, and I love the team, I love the club, and I love the sport. It was a ton of fun. I'm excited to do it again next year. I want to keep playing.